system so that it is comprehensive, it touches everywhere on the island, it is safe, efficient, and timely. It is one way to mitigate and alleviate our traffic congestion by taking cars off the road. It allows our seniors to access health care and programs and services. It allows our children, our youth, to stay engaged in positive after-school activities, drug-free activities, keeps them away from drugs, gangs, and violence, keeps them engaged in positive recreational, educational activities. It also allows our employees to get to and from work. 83% of our Hawaii Island resort development is in South Kohala. Unfortunately, the people who work there cannot afford to live there. Where do they live? Ocean View, Ka'u, Puna, Hilo, and Hamakua. And they're congesting our roadways by getting to work. We need to get them off, and in a tough economy, when gas is at $4.50 a gallon, rising vehicle costs, it allows our working families in a tough economy to take what little discretionary income they do have, put it back in their pocket and back into the local economy. That's number one. Number two, of course, is expediting our building permit process, because in a tough economy as well, small businesses are struggling to strategically allocate limited manpower and resources, and having predictability in county government allows them to do that. And third is a partnership between the county and the state to maximize our Department of Education and county facilities.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kanoi. Next we'll be going to Mr. Moore. So Mr. Moore, what are your top 2 or 3 priorities if elected?
My top priority is you, the community. That is my #1 top priority. Again, and then the budget. We need to take it apart. If you start looking at how we're spending our money, it's pretty out of whack. You've got health and education and welfare coming up in our next projected budget. Only 5.9% of our budget is going to health, education, and welfare. 5.9%. Then we look at our public safety budget. 26.3% of the budget is going to public safety. And I wish the statistics would say that the public safety sector of our community is doing their job. Now, I'm not saying that the man in the field isn't working, because he is, but there is a strong disconnect between the man in the field, the administration, and there is a huge disconnect between the administration and the prosecutor's office. We are sending way too many people to jail, way too many young people. We have the highest referral to the Youth Correctional Facility in Oahu in the state. And also, the Youth Correctional Facility in Oahu, there was a study done 4 years ago, and there was gross grievances brought against them. Incredible mistreatment of our young. And you know what? And we still do not know if they've made any corrections. I'd like to ask Billy Kanoi if there is anywhere a website where we can validate that the Youth Correctional Facility in Oahu has made any changes to correct those gross grievances brought by the district attorney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. We're going to Councilman Pilago. Sorry, Mr. Moore. Gotta cut you off. Councilman Pilago, your top 2 or 3 priorities if elected.
Thank you. Before we can accomplish and implement any of the programs all of us are talking about and promising, we have to establish a clean and open government. A government that is fair and equal, that listens to your voice as they need to listen to the voice of Ka'u, Pahoa, and Kohala. What we need to talk about very clearly and very openly are things of connectivity, concurrency, impact fees, the implementation of the community development plans, and how do we integrate all of those things. Of course, recycling, waste to energy, landfills are critically important. But if we look at the lack of institutionalization for West Hawaii, Ka'u, Kohala, and Pahoa, what we see is lack of hospitals, performing arts centers, museums, libraries. Not fair. We need to get a strong and equal and fair voice in Hilo before we can implement any of our programs. I am a very strong candidate for fair and equal representation for those voices that are not often heard. We need all the outlying communities to make sure that the equal representation and services are accorded to all of us before we can do anything else, especially implement connectivity, concurrency, impact fees, community development plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Pilago. We're going to Senator Lorena Noe.
Thank you. First 2 to 3 priorities We recently just talked about it, relieving traffic congestion, especially in West Hawaii, and also in the Pahoa Ke'au area will be my top priority. We've committed to move forward to improve our connector roads. We've already said what those roads are. I mentioned it, the Mauka Makai roads, La'aloa, Lako, Ali'i Highway, Hokulia, and Kuakini. Those are very important measures that we must implement. And part of the traffic congestion situation, of course, will be the increase in public transportation. Certainly, we need to come up with a master plan so that we can continue to seek matching funds from the federal government, monies that goes to the state to buy additional buses, to see that we can increase our routes and frequency throughout the island. Third item, resolving the Hilo landfill. And I commend Mayor Kim, and since I got the extra time that I didn't finish, I did want to say that I'd like to certainly increase the income from the state into this recycling program. The state administration is sitting on a $20 million administration fee that has been supported and paid for by the importers of all of the containers that go into this fund. The mayors have asked at least to give a share to all the counties, $10 million, so that we all can increase our recycling programs as well. And I certainly oppose trucking.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Lorena Noe. Mr. Maslamani, followed by Councilman Higa.
My number one priority would be to attract businesses. Our revenue, 67% of our revenue is generated by property tax. And the people have been taxed already to the max, to the point that, you know, if you look at your property tax, it's beyond imaginable that how can we justify to continue to increase taxes upon. So the goal is my goal will be to attract businesses so that we can generate more income to get all the goodies that we are promising that we are going to do. Where in the world you're going to get that? You have $400 million budget, and you have to borrow $114 million to subsidize the rest of the things. And this is very interesting that the debt service of the next budget, if you look at it, is 10.2%. And that's how much it's going to cost to borrow money to get the job done. So where are you going to get the money from? I mean, I wish we can, wave a magic wand and all of a sudden the money falls from somewhere. It's not going to happen. So we need to attract businesses, the number one. And that is a number one goal. We have the ideal condition to attract right now the businesses that deals with the solar energy, and that's going to be the future. And that will also make us less dependable of foreign oil. Number two, I would like to set aside agriculture zone so we can grow our own food. If we have the mats and some young brothers strike today, we only have food to survive for 10 days. And after that, we will be killing each other, or we will be eating each other.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maslamani. Councilman Higa, please tell us what your top 2 or 3 priorities are going to be if you get elected.
Thank you. There are many priorities. I'm going to just rattle through them real quick in 90 seconds. My top priorities will be things that can affect the quality of life. I think that's what people are looking for. They want to make sure that the government are doing things that can affect the quality of life for all of you. And again, we said it earlier, roads are very, very important. Let's just get it done. Let's move forward and get these roads done. Stimulate the economy, continue doing that, as I stated earlier. I think low-cost housing in the areas that people actually live and work, will work. That's very important. I have been against the UniDev project, or I'm skeptical about the UniDev project in Waikoloa because of the way this thing is coming about. It's a type of program that is not totally fee simple. It's a leasehold program. And I'm not sure county government should be doing this. I think we should leave that to the private sector. There are ways that we could have actually had the private developers to come in with their housing credits, provide them the land, and let them go ahead and put these houses on the ground. Because again, we're going to be spending close to $110 million of your money on a housing project. So I'm not sure that's the right way to go on that. But I want to try to create low-cost housing in the areas that people need it. The waste issue, that'll be another top priority that I want to get done. And then I think healthcare, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that soon. But those are some of the top priorities. Again, has to affect the quality of life. That's what's important.
My top priorities would be, first, resolving the landfill issue. Like I said before, it's not an option with the price of fuel and having those rigs on the road hauling East Hawaii trash to West Hawaii. This is not an option. Second one would be roads. Save you taxpayers the money. We need to really promote our in-house paving for the roads. The more we pave with our own crew and our own equipment, the more money we save so we can do more roads. The third thing is I would really have to dissect this budget. I don't understand why it costs the county over $1 million a day to operate. That would put more taxpayers' dollars back in your pockets, and I would re-look at the real property tax issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Riley. And Mr. Barroso, your top priorities, if elected.
My priority as mayor, I already told you that I'm not in the middle of this island here. So what I'm concerned now is the ocean. Along the edge of the ocean, anybody who's getting a permit will have to consider that the tide will come up, okay? As a Coast Guard, I mean, I've been studying this now, and it will be 15 feet in about 40 years from now. Now, if we build anything new along the coastline, it's a waste. The new generation is going to look at it and say, hey, what's the matter with this old generation? They knew everything is coming. Why build along the coastline? It's low, some parts is low. Some, even the airport will be flooded. Honolulu will be flooded, Waikiki. In Hilo, also flooded. So it's all going to be underwater. So I'm thinking of the future of the new generation so they don't lose, we don't use their money for nothing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barroso.